In the southern part of the Cascade mountain range in California, there is Mount Shasta. Mount Shasta has been the subject of a large number of myths, legends, and missing people. In particular, it is often said there is a secret city beneath its peaks. In some stories, the city is no longer inhabited, while in others, it is inhabited by a technologically advanced society of human beings or mythical creatures. Thousands of people have gone missing in or around Mount Shasta Park. Some are found, others have never been found. Mount Shasta is a stratovolcano. A stratovolcano is a large, conical volcano with steep sides that's built up from layers of lava and ash, also known as a composite volcano, that reaches a soaring height of 4,322 meters, or 14,179 feet. Like other volcanoes of this type, it has a more classic, almost caricatured, conical shape, which is formed by 4 distinct overlapping volcanic cones. This makes it a striking and easily visible landmark, which, complete with its snow-capped faces, is the ideal site for mountaineers, hikers, campers, and skiers alike. It is the second highest peak in the Cascade Range. Mount Shasta has an estimated volume of 85 cubic miles, which makes it the most voluminous volcano in the Cascade. Volcanic Arc, the mountain and surrounding area are part of the Shasta Trinity National Forest. "We do have a cold case team now," said a Siskiyou County sheriff. "It is a fairly new team, but we are excited it will specifically address these types of cases. But with a landmass 3 times that of Connecticut, it's no surprise that some missing person cases in Siskiyou County go unsolved. Here's a list of a few of many people who went missing from Siskiyou County and Mount Shasta and were never seen again, from past and present. Angie Fulmer, 10 days before Christmas in 2002, 34-year-old Angie Fulmer of Mount Shasta had gifts for her daughters wrapped and sitting under the tree when she went for a drive around Lake Siskiyou with her boyfriend. He reported that they argued. She got out of his truck and walked away. He said he then heard a car door slam, so he believed she got a ride out of the area. The boyfriend reported Angie missing 12 hours later, and she was never seen again. Devont Morgan. Devont Morgan was visiting Mount Shasta from the San Francisco Bay Area with his girlfriend at the time of his disappearance. He was last seen on surveillance video walking on North Mount Shasta Boulevard on the morning of May 5, 2020. Morgan's girlfriend told police they got in an argument on May 4th and broke up. The next day, she said he left Cold Creek Inn for a walk. When she was returning to her room, she told police she passed Morgan, but they didn't speak. He was never seen or heard from again. There is a $25,000 reward being offered for information that leads to finding Morgan. Hannah Zaccaglini. 15-year-old Hannah Zaccaglini was last seen walking to her McLeod home from a nearby friend's house on the evening of June 4, 1997. She never arrived and was never seen again. The majority of Zaccaglini's personal belongings were left at home, including her clothing, purse, money, hairbrush, overnight bag, and bass guitar. Although a father and son were arrested in connection with her murder in December of 2012, charges were later dropped for lack of evidence. Zaccaglini's case remains unsolved. Karen Merrow. Karen Elizabeth Nectal Merrow was 27 at the time of her disappearance on February 15, 1997, from the McLeod area. She was not reported missing until October 1997, 8 months after she disappeared. Authorities and her parents initially believed Merrill left on her own, since there was a warrant out for her arrest. But as months passed with no word from her, police and her family became concerned. Karen had a liver transplant in 1994, and after her disappearance, she never refilled necessary prescriptions, leading authorities to believe she's deceased. Her case is often mentioned with Hannah Zaccaglini's. The two disappeared around the same time, near the same place, and they had the same acquaintances and friends. Rocky Ramirez. Rocky Ramirez was a musician and former firefighter. He left Humboldt County on the morning of August 10, 2021, on his way to Eureka. He was last heard from while in the Hoopa area around 12:30 p.m. That evening, the car he was driving was found down an embankment near Happy Camp. Although some investigators have said it appears Ramirez was ejected from the car, his sister Mona Gustafson said other experts say it looks like he got out of the vehicle. She said she won't stop searching until she finds out what happened to her brother. Marie Louise Andrus. Marie Louise Andrus, age 37, was last seen on August 20, 1987. She left Davis, California, in a distraught state after an argument, according to the Charlie Project. Her car was found on September 5th by a California Fish and Game officer on a forest road near Beaver Creek in the Klamath National Forest. Andrus was never heard from again. Philip Desches. Philip Vern Desches was a 35-year-old transient at the time he was last seen in Eureka on June 2, 1986, according to the International Center for Unidentified and Missing Persons. His wallet was located in Mount Shasta 2 days later. He was arrested by Eureka Police Department on May 8, 1986, and transferred to Tehama County Mental Health the same day, according to the Doe Network. AYPD entry on October 1, 1986, said Desches stayed in local motels per their managers, but he could not be located. Betty Jane Labush. Although Betty Jane Labush was last seen sometime in May 2019, her disappearance was not reported until July. She was living with caregivers in the 6,000 block of Siskiyou Avenue in Grenada at the time of her disappearance. When questioned, her caregivers gave conflicting stories, and at least one person claimed Labush had traveled to Oregon and passed away of natural causes during the trip. A check of death records in both Oregon and California didn't turn up evidence that she'd passed away in either state. Ray Ronaldo Martin. Ray Ronaldo Martin was last seen June 25, 2001, in Fort Jones. There isn't much information available about Martin's case, but he would be 93 years old in 2025. Grace Elin Sabose. Grace Sabose was last seen at a campsite on State Route 96 near the Klamath River on March 1, 2014. Her car, a light blue 1989 Toyota Corolla, was found abandoned near Skian River Bar access area. Evidence found at the scene suggested the 28-year-old was hurt or in trouble. Footprints led down to the river but didn't return. Sabose was originally from Oakland, but had been living in Portland, Oregon for several years before her disappearance. She owned a cleaning business. There are no suspects in her disappearance, and her case remains unsolved. Rosemary Kunst. Rosemary Kunst, age 70, was last seen in the Marble Mountain Wilderness at a spiritual retreat camp near Spirit Lake. According to reports at the time, the rest of the group went on a day hike, and Kunst stayed behind. Later in the day, she set off on a hike herself, carrying a sandwich, trail mix, and a journal, and was never seen again. Despite an extensive search, no trace of Kunst was ever found except for a few of her hairs caught on brush far from the trail. Kunst's disappearance is particularly eerie because searchers said there was simply no evidence to go on. 18 months before her disappearance, Kunst was in a serious car accident that took the life of her husband, Bud. When she set off on her walk, it was reported that she was looking to mingle with the spirit of her husband, although her family insisted she was in good physical and mental health. J.C. Brown. According to a legend, J.C. Brown was a British prospector who discovered a lost underground city beneath Mount Shasta in 1904. Brown had been hired by the Lord Cowdray Mining Company of England to prospect for gold and discovered a cave which sloped downward for 11 miles or 18 kilometers. In the cave he found an underground village filled with gold, shields, and mummies, some being up to 10 feet or 3.0 meters tall. He told his story 30 years later to John Searoot, who proceeded to gather an exploration team in Stockton, California. About 80 people joined the team, but on the day the team was to set out, Brown did not show up. Brown was never heard from again. Mount Shasta has also been a focus for non-Native American legends, centered on a hidden city called Telos, of advanced beings from the lost continent of Lemuria. The legend grew from an offhand mention of Lemuria in the 1880s. According to local indigenous tribes, namely the Klamath people, Mount Shasta is inhabited by the spirit chief Skell, who descended from heaven to the mountain's summit. Skell fought with the spirit of the below world, Lao, who resided at Mount Mazama, by throwing hot rocks and lava, probably representing the volcanic eruptions at both mountains. In 1905, A Dweller on Two Planets by Frederick Spencer Oliver was published, which claimed that survivors from a sunken continent called Lemuria were living in or on Mount Shasta. Oliver's Lemurians lived in a complex system of tunnels beneath with jeweled walls and fur-carpeted floors within the mountain, and occasionally were seen walking the surface dressed in white robes. Several UFO sightings have been reported in the proximity of Mount Shasta and are speculated in local legends to be lenticular clouds hiding Lemurian motherships visiting the hidden city of Telos. Bigfoot sightings at Shasta have also been reported in cryptozoology, as well as stories about interdimensional beings connected to the ascended masters. This magnificent mountain has been a focal point of history, science, art, literature, and mythology of the region. Long before settlers arrived, Mount Shasta was an important place in the lives and mythologies of Native Americans. Then in the early 1800s, it guided explorers, fur trappers, gold seekers, and settlers traveling trails to California and Oregon. The mountain has attracted the attention of poets, authors, and presidents. From alien beings to UFOs, Mount Shasta is full of mysteries.